In the UK, 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they often feel lonely. In the US, 46% of the entire population feel lonely regularly.
After hearing that, you're probably picture in your head the total amount of people in the United States that are struggling with loneliness. 46% of Americans feeling lonely. This goes to show the importance of recognizing signs of social isolation within our community, especially our adolescents. Good morning, my name is Aiden Peter, and today I'm going to be talking about the effect of social isolation on adolescents. The question that led me to this study was, does social isolation from childhood lead to early stages of dysthymia within teenagers in the United States? My answer to this question is social isolation from childhood negatively affects adolescents and raises the chance of development for dysthymia within them. Factors like technological advancements, the recent COVID-19 pandemic, and psychological factors all play a role in increasing the chance of developing dysthymia at a young age. Before I begin, I must clarify what dysthymia actually is. Dysthymia is a commonly known but milder form of depression as it lasts for at least 2 years. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine School, some symptoms of dysthymia include having an empty mood, less concentration, less energy, changes to diet, and carrying a low self-esteem. Moving on, taking a look at this graph, we can see that there has been a huge increase in percent of teenagers who use the internet from 2014 to 2022. The dark blue boxes represents teens who say they almost always use the internet every day. In 2022, this takes up nearly almost half of the bar of internet users in comparison to 2014, where it's almost 25%. This ties back to the development of dysthymia, because if 50% of all teens are constantly using the internet, this most likely means that they are socially isolated from the world around them. Symptoms of depression may start to become apparent if they don't communicate with people in the space around them. According to the PEW Research Center, about a third of teens say social media has had a mostly positive effect around them personally. Looking at this pie chart, we can see that about 55% say that they have used social media about right, and 36% say they've used social media too much. Teens lacking the ability to recognize that they're using social media too much are only hurting themselves and increasing the chances of showing signs of dysthymia. According to this College World Stimulus, Simone Biles, and The Most Human Meaning of Courage, Simone once said, "I was fighting all these demons. I just don't trust myself as much as I used to. Never felt like this before." No, the mental is not there. This connects back to my topic, as many teens who are socially isolated may even have said such words to themselves. They often feel helpless due to the situation that they're in, and they most likely won't want to speak up about it. Taking a look at this bar graph, we can see that there has been a development of bad mental health within children ages 5 to 12 between October and November 2020, which was during COVID. Due to social distancing and policies placed by the government to decrease the spread of COVID-19, many people were forced to socially isolate and cut connections with family, friends, and acquaintances. It has also been known that policies such as social distancing affected children the most, as they have always relied on friends and family for their development. According to Catalina Salman from the Department of Early Childhood Education, many children were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and experienced internalizing and externalizing behaviors. Some risk factors that led to these behaviors include having unhealthy lifestyles like excessive screen time and pandemic-related stressors among parents. Speaking of pandemic stresses among parents, 55% of children reported that they have experienced emotional abuse from a parent or caregiver. Now 11% reported they have experienced physical abuse from a parent or caregiver. This connects back to my argument, because if children are constantly abused at their home, they are highly likely to start to slowly isolate themselves from the world around them, but from not only their parents, but from their friends and family. Now for some solutions to my problem. Adolescents can seek out counseling by either going to a trusted person, a teacher, or a student, or a school administrator, or attending therapy sessions with a psychologist. A limiting factor to this would be recognizing mental challenges but continuing to ignore them and not seek out help. Another solution would be to decrease screen time, which would help with not only being socially isolated, but help them develop social skills. A limiting factor to this would be ignoring recommendations of lowering self-esteem and other factors that negatively affect their health, which may lead to mental health struggles. Thank you.
All right, 2 questions for you. First up, Aiden. What information did you need before you began your whole project, and then how did that information kind of drive your research?
I kind of needed information on especially COVID-19 and how it impacted kids before and during it, because I know during COVID-19 it was really weird for everyone around the world, and it kind of forced them to not only stay at home but find different ways to learn, especially with the education system.
All right, and what advice would you have for anyone else who wants to talk about like social isolationism and its impact?
I would advise, especially looking at COVID-19 again, as during that time period, it was just heavily impactful to children and adults all throughout the world, especially governments as well.